What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fitness, Food, and Freedom Podcast. This is episode 457 of the show, and I'm going to talk about today the unfortunate truth about fitness, which, spoiler alert, is that it's always in the middle. Everything that you need to do is pretty much always in the middle, and the extreme camps are typically never right. I'm going to talk about balance today, why you need to push yourself, but also be intelligent about taking all or nothing approach, I guess. I'm going to talk about that today, update you guys on my own training, and kind of talk about things that I have seen with clients and in the coaching aspect of things. So if you guys do want to work with me to get your fitness goals taken care of, knocked off, checked off the to-do list, reach out to me. I put the email in the description of this podcast, jordanstolzfitness@gmail.com. I make the rates pretty affordable for coaching so I can be accessible to you and not, take all your money in the meantime. So that's definitely something I'd like to do, work with more listeners. So reach out if you want to work with me. As far as a training update is concerned, this is weird for me to say, but I've been loving cardio lately. And it's not that I'm becoming a cardio guy. Weights are definitely still the cornerstone. Weight train 6 days a week right now, so definitely that's taking up most of the exercise time that I do. And I walk a lot, like I've been talking about for the last few episodes. But with the twins, they get up early. They're kind of at this point, knock on wood, where they're sleeping through most of the night, going to bed at 8 p.m. or so, waking up around 4 a.m. about, sometimes 5 if we're lucky. So that's a pretty good night as long as you get to bed on time. It's early, and it's hard to go back to sleep when the toddler then wakes up at 6:37 a.m. So it's hard for me to shift back into sleeping after feeding them and stuff in the middle of the night, in the early morning at 4 or 5, and then shifting over, into sleep for another hour and then waking up again. Not optimal for me. So I have just been getting up, and I've been choosing to use that time for a little mobility, a little cardio, read a little bit, kind of take advantage of that early morning and get some alone time, I guess, meditation, if you will, just some exercise time to get it in when I know I'm not going to be able to fit it in later. I've been doing my cardio then, and nothing magical about the fasted cardio, nothing magical about it in the early morning, except that is when I can do it and do it consistently just about every day. It's about 5-6 days a week to do that. Usually I'll not do it on Saturdays, and then also maybe take one day. They'll kind of let us sleep a little longer and just take advantage of that. I've been doing a whole bunch of different things. I haven't just done one form of cardio, which I think is kind of why I've been enjoying it in the morning. I'll run sprints outside a couple days a week. I will do the rowing machine one day a week, maybe punch the heavy bag, maybe if I feel like it. A lot of times I'll do an incline treadmill walk. So I put the treadmill to the full incline, wear about a 30-pound vest, and then walk at 3 miles an hour for 30 minutes. That's a pretty good workout that gets me sweating and the heart beating. Cardio like that's kind of what I've been doing. It's usually about 30 minutes, doing something hard for that amount of time. And I get why people like running. I don't like running long distances, but I get the aspect of it in that you can improve really quickly. Once you're not a beginner in weight training anymore, it's hard to make huge noticeable jumps in improvement, in a shorter period of time. It takes longer. If you want to add 50 pounds to your bench press, it might take you 6 months to a year if you're more advanced. Whereas a beginner could do that in maybe a couple months. In something like running, sprints or the treadmill or whatever, I can add weight to the vest in the treadmill. I can add speed to the treadmill, increase the incline, and accomplish it every single workout, make an improvement or improve a time on the cardio, just because getting in shape and also just kind of hitting that gear, pushing myself a little bit. The endurance aspect comes so quickly compared to strength, which I really like. So I've been doing that. I don't know if that'll be a forever thing. It's not required, I don't think, by any means. I just have been enjoying it. And if they choose to start letting us sleep till 6 a.m., I'll probably take that and choose the sleep over the cardio, but we'll see. Maybe I'll still wake up early and kind of get that me time. But I also wanted to update you guys on my home gym because I've kind of been doing that through the journey of this podcast, gone to some gyms in the past and kind of transitioned over to a home gym now with my current living situation. So I have a gym in the basement right outside this door, actually, if you're watching this on YouTube. But got a couple more pieces for the home gym today that I'm pretty excited about. Last week they came, actually. I got a rowing machine, not the cardio type, but like a back row machine, a back machine, and then a chest press machine that can do flat or incline. Machines aren't really required for home gyms, but I did kind of see a gap in my training and what I could do for exercises in my home gym for those two body parts, right? Chest was pretty much like dumbbell press, barbell press. That was pretty much what I could do. Nothing wrong with that. Just wanted some variation. Back, I was pretty limited to barbell movements, dumbbell movements, and pull-ups, which are great. And pull-downs. I have a lat pull-down, but those are great, but a lot of them tax your lower back, and I really wanted to just add more volume and pressing and pulling without having to load up a barbell, tax your low back, shoulders, all that. These are great so far. I'm really liking them. I'll do a home gym tour video maybe this week or next week on YouTube at Stolz Fit, and maybe on TikTok as well if I can figure out how to do it in a shorter time frame. But make sure you guys check that out. That'll be good. I know you guys like that home gym stuff. And along with this added, the 6 days a week training, the added cardio for 5-6 days, I've been eating a lot more calories, and my calorie intake is like to the point where people are jealous when I talk to them about it at work or, coaching people, because I'm eating almost 700 grams of carbs a day, and it's about 4,250, 4,300 calories per day, something like that. Trying to keep fat lower, like 90 or 100, which is it's respectably high, but it's easy to let fat creep up to 150, 160 when your calories are that high. I have been really liking the extra carbs, and they've been really helping with energy, training, and I've been trying to actually put most of those carbs around training, which is a different strategy for me. Normally, I kind of just am flexible and hit my macros through the day. This time I'm trying to have a big pre-workout meal beforehand, intra-workout carbs, post-workout carbs, putting most of it around my workout, and the rest of the day is pretty standard. So I've been really experimenting with that as well, and we'll see. That's another thing that we'll see how long it lasts, because you can only have, dreamer calories like that for so long. But that's pretty much what I want to talk about to start today's show. So let's get down to it. Episode 457. That's my update, but let's talk about the unfortunate truth about fitness. All right, before we get into it today, let's talk about the quote of the day, which actually is related to today's theme and the whole topic for today. But the quote is related. It's actually an original quote. This is one that I kind of wrote a general summary of what this episode is about. The quote, if you can call it that, the statement, the thesis, is true fitness lies in finding the balance between doing nothing and going to extremes. It's in the harmony of rest and exertion that progress is found. Remember, I'm all about progress. I think everything's about progress in fitness. You just have to get a little bit better every single day, every single week, every single year, improve, and those start stacking up big time, and you see huge changes. I like the word harmony here because it's a balance. It's not just one of them is not wrong, right? Doing nothing, going to extremes. Maybe there's a place and a time for both of those, but it's finding the harmony of those where they can kind of work together, where you have some extreme times, you have some downtime, you find that middle ground, and the balance. That is where progress can be found. You're not going to find it doing the extreme forever, because you're not going to want to do that forever. You're definitely not going to find it doing nothing, but if you want true fitness, you got to find that balance. People these days are really... not these days, for all of time in fitness, the problem is that we're way too all or nothing, right? We are super aggressive about this year is my year. New Year's resolution. I'm going to, lose all this weight, get fit, do this training program, go hard, go home. It's on the wagon, off the wagon, right? I see this all the time with what I do professionally in the fitness industry. I see people really motivated, inspired, joining a program, trying to lose weight, eventually falling off, giving up, coming back a year later, realizing that they didn't accomplish what they set out to do, really motivated, all in again. And it's kind of this flip-flop thing where it's on again, off again. And that's because they're following the motivation, right? They feel motivated one day, inspired by something. Maybe they saw an Instagram post, themselves in the mirror or something, and they choose to kind of take action on that, which is great, and take the jump, which I like up till that. The problem is motivation will come and it will also go, right? So when it actually goes, they don't have anything kind of holding them. They're already going too extreme because they created their plan when they're motivated, and they end up falling off the wagon. So these are opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Just like that quote where it's nothing and it's the extreme. It's rest and exertion. They're on, off, black and white. The true, unfortunate truth about fitness is that it's in the gray. Everything's in the gray. And the reason I say it's unfortunate is because the gray is boring. The gray isn't sexy. The gray can't be sold really effectively. Like if I wanted to just get clicks and views and more listens and downloads on the podcast, I could create titles and episodes about how to lose 50 pounds in 30 days or, get abs in 7 days or whatever. That's not how it works though. True fitness is in that balance, and that's unfortunate, mainly for me as the professional in the fitness industry, because it's hard to sell that to people. We want the all or nothing, and we want the quick results. The true progress we're after, guys, it comes from grinding. It doesn't come from grinding the hardest workout you've ever done a few times. It doesn't grind in pushing yourself to where you've never been before. It comes from grinding in the sense of you're doing the boring stuff day in and day out for a really, really long time. And that takes true discipline. If you have found a good diet, you know what you have to do, right? Track your macros, hit your protein, eat vegetables, eat fruit, try to avoid really high processed foods that will make you overeat. It's not that any of those things will get you quick results. It's that you got to do those things consistently, day in and day out, forever. It's a lifestyle modification. And that is not fun to hear because it can be tough to do that. In training, it might be leaving 1 or 2 reps in the tank, doing the compound movements that are kind of boring, getting better at them, adding 1 rep, adding 5 pounds a month maybe, and doing that consistently for a long time. It's not really about like stomping on the gas pedal, getting up to 120, and then slamming on the brakes. That's what we don't want. For an analogy with a car, what we do want is to kind of find that sweet spot in your speed, 75 miles an hour down the interstate, hit cruise. You're just kind of enjoying the drive, drinking your road drink, eating your road snacks, whatever, having conversations, listening to music. You're finding that cruise where you're still getting to your destination at a respectable speed, but it's not going to make your car blow up and you're not going to fall off along the way. This prevents falling off and burning out better than anything, but it is hard to find that and just kind of grind in that. Now, I do think, like I said, there's a place and a time for both things. You can't always do an extreme approach. You can't always do nothing, but it's okay to do things a little bit extreme sometimes. 1 second here. I got to scroll down my notes a little bit. So my point here is that you really need to push yourself in the sense of doing that boring work, and you do need to push yourself in terms of working hard. It's easy to kind of take, I don't want to be too extreme, crash diet, do too much training, I don't want to overtrain, and use that as an excuse to be soft. Because I see that all the time too, is that people, although they do tend to follow motivation and be extreme for too long, they're afraid to put in the work in general. You can't be soft. You need to push yourself. Of course, you need to do what's reasonable for you, for the time you have and the recovery that you have, the ability to recover. If you're, you only have 30 minutes a day, don't choose to do 2-a-day sessions and a cardio workout. If you get sore after 7 sets of chest, don't do 21 because you heard you have to. That's just going to be useless, essentially. You need to do what is right for your body, but push yourself to a high intensity in that work. So no matter if you're training for 2 hours or 20 minutes, push it. You have to push yourself and not be soft. You can't use being in that gray as an excuse. My tip for you today, and I guess what you need to do to find that balance, is when you're motivated, hold back a little bit on your planning, because it's really easy to feel motivated, pick something super aggressive that you're not going to be able to stick to, and be excited about it. Like, I'm going to train 7 days a week like this bodybuilder, look like this, I'm going to eat like this, chicken and broccoli every meal, that kind of thing. That can work definitely if you can stick to it, but you're motivated right now. You're going to lose that motivation, trust me, by the time you get to your goal. So I need to hold back, dial it back a little bit, pick something smaller that you can stick to in the times when you're more struggling. Because when you're struggling, even that dialed back amount will still feel like a lot. If it's just eating a protein source at every meal, that's going to feel like a big chore when you're busy with work, family, and you're on vacation and that kind of thing. So you need to kind of pick and choose your battles and start a little bit slower than you think. So my recommendations, let's get into that here to kind of close out today and give you something actionable to work with. My training recommendations. So if you're just starting or you want to create a plan that is in that balance where true progress is found, you need to hit the weights. Obviously, that needs to be a cornerstone. I talked about earlier how I do 6 days a week right now. I'm engaged to the iron at this point. It's definitely a hobby. It's definitely something I enjoy. It's like The Rock says, it's like my anchor, where I kind of need it to function my best throughout other areas of my life day to day. So I train more. You don't need that. 3 times a week, I say, is a great place to start. 4 times a week is a little bit better, maybe. But you start to see some drop off at 5 times a week and 6 times a week, I think, unless you really, really love it. You do get a little bit more creative with splits if you go to 5 or 6 days a week, but 3 times a week is definitely enough, and most people can stick to that, because if you want to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you miss Wednesdays, you could always just shift it to Thursday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday even, if you're training different body parts. So that's a great way to do it. I say 3 times a week to start, progress slowly from there, and all of your weight training should be about progression. So like I said, 1 more rep than last week on all your exercises, all your sets. Maybe you add 5 pounds every few weeks to your lifts, and you're seeing that slow, steady progress, not crazy fast gains that you wish you could have, because it's not going to happen forever. For cardio, I say nothing crazy. Again, what you can stick to, what you have time for. I like the steps approach. I've talked about that a lot in the last month or so. Track your steps, increase that a little bit. That's a great place to start. If you do want to include some actual cardio for health reasons, like 1 or 2 times a week is actually plenty for heart health and improving endurance, you can increase that from there. But remember, you're motivated now. Dial it back a little bit. Hit that 1 or 2 sessions, because even that will feel like it really sucks when you really don't want to do it. So that's a good place to start. For nutrition, no extreme deficits, no extreme surpluses, guys. You don't need 1,000 calorie surplus to build muscle. You don't need 1,000 calorie deficit to lose fat. You can drop yourself 300 calories either way and make tons of progress from maintenance calories. So, if you maintain on 2,000 calories, start your diet for fat loss at 1,700. If you want to gain muscle, maybe bump up to 2,200, 2,300. It doesn't need to be extreme. It just needs to be consistent. And that's where people typically fall off. Don't be extreme about any one macronutrient or food group either. So you don't want super low protein, super low carb, super low fat. Be very wary of anyone that kind of fear mongers around a food group. They say carbs are bad, fat is bad, or vice versa, like eat all this protein, all these carbs, all these fat. It's not about that. It's more about just balance and hitting enough protein, fueling your workouts, feeling good, and doing that consistently. So remember, it's all about balance. That's kind of my starter approach. I will say, as a kind of a conclusion, there are times to forget your balance. I did a TikTok about this the other day. Stolz Fit on TikTok, just kind of getting that going recently. But I was doing a sprint workout in the morning and did a TikTok where I had done 40 sprints that day, an intense cardio session, a lot of sprinting, probably more than most people could handle. And I said in the TikToks, because I have priorities right now for that. I want to push myself in that area, and I'm going to see how wild I can get with some of that stuff. Sometimes you got to forget your balance and just, define those priorities. Like if your priority is to just get in incredible shape, a balanced approach isn't the best approach. You maybe do have to get extreme if you can stick to it. But for 99% of you, finding that unfortunate gray area where it's boring, but you have to be consistent, that's going to be money. That's going to be the key to your success there. So that's my advice. There's a time and a place for extremes, depending on your priorities. There's even a time and a place for nothing, taking a break. But true progress is found in the harmony between those two and finding that balance. So that's all I want to talk about today for episode 457. Thank you for listening. If you want to support the show, you can go to the Sellfy store, which is stolzjordan.sellfy.com. And I'll link that in the description of the show. I believe you just have to copy and paste the text. And then also I'll put my email in there if you want to work with me, depending on your priorities, in an extreme approach to get to a crazy goal, or maybe a balanced approach to make fitness part of your life. I like working with both groups of people. Reach out if you want to. Thanks for listening to this show and for supporting the podcast, and I will talk to you guys later.